So, cruising isn't always everything that you see on cruising channels. There's a lot of stuff that happens that isn't a whole lot of fun. In our case, it wasn't the end of the world, but certainly wasn't worth filming, that's for sure. What am I talking about? So, the boat is rolling back and forth and making the camera jump. Yeah, so we got underway, and we were supposed to meet some friends of ours that were going to be at that we're going to meet in Nassau in the Bahamas and spend the first week doing the exumas and that sort of thing. And so, you know, everybody talks about things like you hear people saying the journey is better than the destination, all that sort of stuff. Well, you know what? There's a reason why a lot of people want fast boats. It's not always just to go fast, it's to get to where you're going, and that's one of their prime reasons for doing what it is that they're doing. In our case, we really are shackled. I'm very lucky that I only work 6 months a year, that at this present contract I work 3 weeks on the tugboat and 3 weeks off. So that's a wonderful schedule that I'm sure many people would be very envious of. But having said that, unlike the true cruisers that where I'm surrounded by, we don't have just an open calendar that we can do anything. Things have to happen, and especially when you have multiple friends and couples that are coming down to spend a week sailing with you, you have to be at this place at this time because they're going to fly in at that place and that time and that sort of stuff. So we're breaking the number one law of cruising, and that's that you should never write your plans in anything but the sand. Well, our plan was to get the boat ready, get it grubbed up, get underway, and get over to the Bimini, and then from Bimini come down to Nassau and wait for our friends to Kristen and Jim to show up. And well, there's a couple things that happened, and this is the reason why I'm sharing this story with you. And you probably don't want to look at me the whole time here. And if you're wondering what happened, it's another part of cruising. When you're living out of your suitcase going back and forth to work, it looks like I forgot a razor. Chryssalita cut my hair this morning, which is great, but we have to go ashore and find a razor, so pardon the gruffy look. But anyway, let me give you some better things to look at while I'm talking here. So our plan, there was some northerlies. The northerlies that were coming, which aren't that common. You know, usually you think of the southwest trade winds, you know, that blow in Florida and blow up the coast and that sort of stuff. Well, we had some northerlies that were forecasted, and I knew that we had to get out of there as quickly as possible. And out of there being Fort Lauderdale or southern Florida at any rate. And if any of you are wondering why that is, it's because the Gulf Stream goes from north to the south. Excuse me, I just said that exactly wrong. The Gulf Stream goes from the south to the north. And when the wind blows from the north to the south, the wind versus current, you'll often hear on my other channel us refer to it as tide, it'll stand the waves right up. And in very short time, you'll have a very, very steep and you know, close troughs to waves. And that's something that I was trying to avoid. So we got everything done that we needed to do. Chryssalita and I, we went shopping. Chryssalita's flight got delayed, as many people's flights are getting delayed these days, and instead of landing at 2 in the afternoon, she didn't get in until almost 7 at night. But we still went shopping and bought $1,000 worth of food and everything for all of us, because you really don't want to go shopping over here in the Bahamas, because I mean, they don't have as much variety and everything's really expensive. And if you wonder what really expensive means, I was watching a video, Blast Hitch, about 2 girls that came over to Bimini from Miami, I think, and they came in a go fast boat in a center console, and so it took them 2 hours. They zipped over, they got over, and they said, oh, we forgot to get water, so they went and got a case of water for $26. So $26 for a case for 24 bottles of water. So anyway, things can be very expensive over here. Well, anyway, I knew that we had to get out as quickly as possible because the wind was coming, and everything started to turn. So it looked like halfway through, the wind would go from southwest. Excuse me, southwest. It was going to go and rotate around to the north, right around noonish to 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. So Chrysalida and I got up first thing in the morning on Thursday morning and hauled the anchor and went over and got water and fuel on, and by the time we got done with everything, I think we made the 8 o'clock bridge coming out of 17th Street. But anyway, we started headed across, and the wind, because the wind was really coming behind us at that time, we had probably about 8 knots of wind, so maybe 1 or 2 knots apparent. And so that obviously that's not sailing kind of weather. And like I say, I had to do everything I had to make sure that we got through in time, because we were trying to beat this front. So we kept going, and if you're wondering, it's like 52 miles. You know, where I had to go was about 52 miles. So we took off, and the wind did change, and it kind of got weird. The good news was that I think we were out on the other side of the stream before it came out of the north, and we almost had a following sea at that point, and it worked pretty well. And we got into Bimini right about 6 o'clock, and it looked like their office was closing at 6, so we hung the Q flag, went to bed that night. First thing the next morning, went there and did our check-in procedures and all that, and then started headed back, and now the wind's blowing out of the north, and it was blowing pretty hard, and so we knew we were going to take a spanking, but we had to do it anyway because we had to go and meet our friends Kristen and Jim. So away we went, and our trip down to Gun Cay was great. Had basically a beam reach. We were flying, so we came across the shoal there. Anyway, we kept going. I was going to meet my friend Gabe down here, he's already here in Nassau, and I told him that we might get tired. It was going to be like 20 hours if everything went well. And I said, you know, I might just pull over at the Berry Islands and get some sleep. And he said, all right. We got to the Berry Islands, and by that time the Berry Islands were really giving us a nice lee. And so I said, you know what, let's keep it rolling. So we kept it rolling, and we came all the way over here to Nassau Harbor, and I made a really, really stupid move. And you know, one should not be proud of explaining your stupidity under the guise of caution and abundance of caution, but maybe that was the case today. So what happens is the wind is blowing me on a lee shore, and I'm coming up the shore to get in, and the water is going from like 2,500 feet up to like 50 feet, so everything's stacking up, and it was blowing, you know, a steady 20 all the time, and gusting much higher than that, and the seas would roll in. And because I'm going up there, we're right side too, but because I had some sail up, we were moving right along, and I mean, we're doing 5-6 knots the whole way, but just crashing, green water coming over the boat, but just powering through all this stuff, and that was great. But I didn't want to go and mess around. This is like at 5 in the morning on a leash with the wind blowing 20 knots on a lee shore that's only a quarter of a mile away from me. I wanted to make sure that I had some room on the shore. So for about 2 miles before we got to the entrance of the harbor here, I rounded up into the wind and took the sails in, and then tried to motor. And when I was making 6.5, sometimes 5, sometimes 5.5 knots with the sails, man, hooked up, I was doing about 2 knots the whole way, and we took a hellacious beating. One of my tugboat friends, Sean Waite, you guys might have remembered him, I mentioned him a bunch of times. He used to call me and say, hey, why do all these sailboat guys, they're obviously running with their engine, but why do they have a sail up? A lot of times we do that to stiffen the ride, where the boat will be flopping back and forth. You put the sail up and it will keep pressure on the boat and make it a little bit better of a ride. Well, that was definitely the case this morning. Oh my God, everything down below went crashing down below. I have a zero water purification system, you know, that you put water in and it goes through the filter and works awesome. I love that thing. That thing I got wedged in, it's never come out. That thing came out and all the water went all on the floor and everything else. But anyway, we got in here, we anchored up, and now it's a really rolly, bumpy anchorage, and there are places that we could go. And my friend Gabe is at a marina that he says is still bumpy at the marina, but it's $115 a night. He thought that was a great deal, which I do think that is a great deal. But we're not really marina people, and we got a good spot here, and we're held on really good, and nobody's right on top of us. So I'm scared to. My thought, well, to give you an idea, this is looking more easterly, and this is looking more northerly. When we came in through the channel here, you can see there's a boat coming in here over there. We came through the channel, the wind was coming more like this, and I wanted to get around here and under this to lessen any of the swell, you know, the swell that might be coming this way. Well, then the wind clocked around this way a little bit, and there's enough fetch here, so it gets pretty miserable right here. And so I wanted to go way over here and tuck up by the beach, be a little louder and probably a lot more people and closer together. You know, the odds of getting tangled up with somebody else would be pretty good, and the odds of losing this prime spot would be good. And then Crystalita's like, no, she's happy here. So I'm like, well, it's gonna blow like this for the next 24 to 36 hours, so we'll just stay in here and make the best of it. So, and oh, and so didn't even tell you the biggest news. We were getting here so that we could pick up Kristen and Jim, and we found out just as we get here they got COVID, or Kristen got COVID anyway, and she's probably clear of it by now, but on an abundance of caution she's opted to do what I believe is the right thing, and that's to stay and continue to isolate herself, and we won't have to worry about that. But so now it's just going to be the two of us for the first week until ready for these Chris's. Remember, we have Chrysalida, there was Kristen and Jim, and then the second week Chris and Chrissy are coming. So stay tuned. Hello and welcome, I'm Tim and this is SV Paquita. Come along every week as I get this island packet ready to hopefully someday cast off the lines for the last time. I come from a background of being a lifelong professional mariner, and I've had to make the adjustment from doing that to living life on the recreational side. We've just come back from Puerto Rico, and then we spent the summer up in the Gulf of Maine, and now we're going to take the ICW down to Florida and hopefully spend the winter in the Bahamas. So come along with us every week. I think you'll like it. So there are a bunch of reasons why Nassau is not my favorite place, but not the least of which is that it was a good reminder of why procrastination is a bad form of seamanship. Thinking that we would have gotten into Bimini and been able to check out and continue through the night before the weather changed, I didn't take the engine off of the dinghy, and things got going around, and when I was waiting for a cruise ship to go into Nassau, I got side to one of the beam seas, and we rolled a bit and did a little damage to the Cato dinghy davits. Luckily, we had to wait until Monday morning, but luckily I was able to find a someone on the island, and for $50 we were welded up and back in shape again. But my big problem with Nassau, I've been warned by my cruising friends that Nassau is not exactly the place that many of us cruisers like to go to. It definitely is a great place for a lot of people that seem to like that sort of thing, if you like a lot of crowds and that sort of thing. But I think a lot of us that are doing this are really kind of looking to get away from all that. And there certainly were a lot of crowds and a lot of people, and crowded beaches and inflated prices, and a lot going on. So if that's your thing, you'd be happy. But I don't really know that it was my thing. But we did have one funny thing that happened. But, dude, a number of years ago, more than I'd like to admit, I had exactly your look.
Hey, it's a good look, bud. It's a good look.
It is, I agree. Can we have a picture with you?
Yeah, no problem, man.
This was me years ago. Well, that's it until next time when you can see me get bit by a lizard and swim with the sharks. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe as always. I'll see you on the one.